Yes, my people, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my 100k FTMO challenge. Just another week of sitting on our hands. It's almost been like 3 weeks now. We haven't even taken a trade on the 100k account, but that's completely fine. We're buying our time, we're buying patience, and we are fine with waiting. Something that we have to build the strong foundations now towards the rest of our trading career, to make sure we're not impatient. So if you're staying and keeping good habits now, this should maintain for the rest of our trading career. And just gonna pick up from where we left off last week. I'm not even gonna go on the Google Sheets for the trading journal because literally I didn't take any trades on the account, so there's no point showing you that. But as we spoke about in the last video, if you want to go check that out, these are the areas that we had marked out. So we spoke about how on the monthly and weekly were very bullish in the past couple of months, especially during the first quarter of the year. You can see from January's price, it's just been pushing up here. And if you know anything about quarterly shifts, I was in my head, the way I'm thinking about the price right now is that if it wants to maintain this bullish momentum and carry on going, we've got upside potential that we can target, which is obviously half the consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap within there, and then the buy side liquidity up here as well. On the flip side, on the bearish side, if quarter shift is going to be in play, and that's usually every quarter, the markets usually have a shift in terms of their sentiment, in terms of their impulse and the momentum. So as you can see, the first 3 months we've been bullish, so usually around this time they've been aiming for buy side liquidity, which have finally targeted. And as we're entering into Q2, we've taken that buy side liquidity, so it shows that there could be a potential reversal happening, and now the high time frame narrative switches to bearish for the next quarter. But obviously that's not guaranteed to happen. It's just what we have to wait and see how price prints itself. So where we were from last week was over here, and this is this week's trading where we've just pierced up into that fair value gap and we've closed as we have here. Obviously we spoke about this bearish order block that we are in right now, which we tapped into, and sweeping buy side and tapping into the daily fair value gap. So that gives good ideas and good sentiment to have a potential reversal from here and change narrative, but we'll have to see what they want to do with the price. In terms of other areas on the lower time frame, when we break it down, so this is where we were at the start of the week. Obviously Monday I didn't trade at all because it was my birthday, so I wasn't able to look at the charts. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I was looking at the charts. Obviously with the first week of the month we had NFP, a lot of news and volatility to navigate through, and usually Monday and Tuesdays are going to be best opportunities to get into the markets. You want to be done by ideally Wednesday, at max Thursday, because that Friday NFP is just crazy. Wednesday NFPs as well, usually that's crazy in itself. But Monday and Tuesday, if you can get in and out of positions by then, it's sweet. Unfortunately I wasn't able to do that. But just looking at the dollar, what we had happening is Monday we ran into the buy side liquidity over here, and on the lower time frame obviously we've got this breaker block over here that we identified from the previous week, which price then used to support, carrying up and rejected upwards into that high time frame PD array. And then from then, as you can see, this week that we've just had, it's just had a reversal into that, back into that range, and respecting that breaker block once again. In doing so, we had the sweep of these lows here, retested this volume imbalance beautifully from the previous week. If you see it for the previous videos, just absolutely perfect price action, respected that. So those were the kind of my targets from when I seen price reversing, but unfortunately, like I said, there was nothing there I could really get into. If we go on to the 1 hour here, so this was Monday's trading. As you can see, impulsed above, made a new high there throughout the Asia session, and then I also got into London, swept this high here, and then from then started breaking down. Tuesday we ended up filling this imbalance here and here, and then from there consolidated. As you can see, choppy price action leading to Wednesday's trading when we had NFP. News came out, tanked below, literally nothing you can get into there. If you were in a position from up here, then beautiful. Just if you're lucky enough to ride that down, beautiful. It's a lot of profits there. Price left this price gap here, which I identified coming into Thursday's trading, and as you can see, during London on Thursday we came back down, tapped into those lows, so swept those lows, respected that price gap here, that volume imbalance, sorry, so respected that volume imbalance over here. And on the high time frame you can see it now, and I saw it when we were coming into Friday's trading, but with NFP coming out I decided not to take anything on the funded account. So as you can see, we had that market structure shift here with that impulse break there. This was a breaker block entry, which would be a nice entry, beautifully tapped into there, and then price started respecting, going upwards, looking at that target there for that price gap, and as you can see, it just touched that perfectly. So it's beautiful price action to be able to read and forecast beforehand and watch it play out as well. Even though we're not in any positions ourselves, we can just have the confidence that we're able to tape read when it comes to live market conditions. And if we just keep our psychology in check, risk management in check, overall we know what we're doing. So in case you guys are wondering, obviously that breaker block had that low, high, low, market should shift, so that becomes a breaker block over here. As you can see, there is actually a really small fair value gap there, as you can see on the 1 hour. Change that between there. So if you're trading on the high time frame, swing trading, then those would have been beautiful opportunities for you to, buy dollar into these targets of here. And then as you can see, this is Friday's trading, very choppy in the morning, as you'd expect within London. Came back down, tapped into this 15-minute fair value gap. So as price made that high, left this fair value gap in the 15-minute, came back in, tapped in, and then you had this massive impulse on up to here. On the high time frame, obviously in hindsight looks really nice, but as you see, if price was over here, if we replay that at this point, even though you have got the narrative that this should be respected, and if that gets respected, your next target should be up here, even though that is the case on the high time frame, with the news coming out, it can still completely tank down here, shoot back over there, or alternatively, if it doesn't want to do that, it can do the flip side, manipulate up here, even do this, let's say for example up here, and then tank. You just literally never know what kind of volatility you're going to get within that Friday's trading, especially in the first week of the month as well, with that NFP news coming out. So that was the dollar market analysis. And then on euro, so if we were bearish coming down here, would have been bullish on euro, and then if we were bullish up here, would have been bearish on euro, which is pretty much what worked out. And there was one opportunity where I pretty much did miss, which is annoying. So if you go on that, if you start on that high time frame again, same thing. There's these high time frame PDUAs that we've seen getting respected nicely. Weekly order block over here, price came back in, respected that. Obviously that's from December. Shot up here, came back in, retested that level, gets it nicely away. Coming down here, pretty much retested that level again. And if you drop down on the daily, we had this daily order block over here, which price came back into it, tapped it nicely. And if you do the low to that high, that 50%, just look how beautiful that is within that 50%. And that's what I love about reading price action and knowing how to read it. So when you see these levels, when you see these levels respected, it's like a beautiful thing. Obviously, I identified that if you wanted to continue bearish, we have the sell side liquidity down here we can target. But since we were in that daily order block and that within that weekly order block, we could have a potential reversal as well, and which is pretty much what we got here. Started trading up from Monday when dollar went up, euro went down, tapped into this high time frame PD array, then had the reversal up here. This is Wednesday's trading, obviously, with the news. Thursday into the buy side liquidity, so once it swept sell side, targeted buy side into this fair value gap on the high time frame. And if we drop down below, I'll show you where could have got in and out of the markets, which have been really, really nice. So as you can see, when Monday traded lower, even though there was nothing on dollar that presented itself, we had this opportunity here on euro. So within London, obviously this is on a 15-minute time frame. This is what in hindsight I saw, but I missed live. So you had that liquidity grab over here. You had this market structure shift here, as you can see there, with that impulsive break. And as you can see, two fair value gaps left behind, one on the 15-minute there, and then another one on the 15-minute here. And usually what you want to be doing with these, when you do have two, one above the other, ideally you do want to get triggered into the trade. So usually the lowest hanging fruit is, which would be that one, lowest entry criteria, which would be that one. If I get the position there, stops would be below here. Me personally, I'd extra just for the volatility. And then if you're looking at all this range here, easy target would be in any of these imbalances here. So you're already up here at 2 to 1. That's an easy target because prices, that's just a low resistance liquidity run. There's a fair value gap there, there's that high there as well, or any of these highs. So let's say if you just do 2 to 1, that's there. But the way you can increase your risk to reward on this trade is if you did the low to high of that move there. As you can see, this fair value gap is just at 50%, but where you'd be entering if you entered up here, that would be in premium. So you would, in this instance here, you wouldn't be entering into discount fair value gap, which would be this one here, and look how beautifully it aligns with that OTE entry as well. So that just already increases your risk to reward from 2R to 3R just by entering on that lower fair value gap that's in discount. So that's one way to increase, but obviously hindsight's 2020, we missed that live, can't say that. And then rest of the days, price just started moving up, nothing else for me there to trade with, so I just sat on my hands. Wednesday, like I said, there was news, so left that alone, wasn't going to trade that. Targeted these highs up here, and then when price, it did finally and eventually make its way into this fair value gap, tapped into the high time frame PD array in terms of this buy side liquidity. You can see we had this liquidity grab, explosive move down, so I had market structure shift here, left a 1 hour fair value gap, which I was looking to price to come back into. Had another fair value gap down here. Again, reasons why I would not have entered into here, even though it's on a high time frame, and is because, as you can see, the timing wise, it would have been at 8 o'clock New York time, which is way past the time I'll be asleep, but also outside of our kill zone as well. So we would have left that alone. But in the same instance as well, you'd be looking to ideally target this fair value gap here, 50% of that one, so there to enter in. which aligns nicely with that breaker block as well. And as you can see, price came back in, Friday's trading, took out those shorts that were short from here, took out those shorts, once again liquidated, and then just tanked below. I'm surprised that it didn't make its way down onto this 1 hour fair value gap, but price can do what it wants, to be honest, because with that price gap being targeted, I expected this fair value gap to be targeted as well, but it didn't do that. It just reversed around here, came back up, closed pretty much near the open. As you can see, that was Friday's open, came back up. That was accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and then made its way back up here to close near the midnight open. So that's why on a daily you can see the candle looks like so, one of those indecision candles. So coming up to this week, we'll be interested to see what price wants to do. Obviously we're filled in this range right now. We've been respecting these levels here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So we've also had this market structure shift up here. We have tapped into this high time frame PD array. So with balancing all this here, I'm wondering now if price was to continue going bullish, target these over here. But as I said, going into a new quarter now, so quarterly shift could be at play, especially on the dollar, what it's done there. So if we flip bearish from now on dollar, then I'd be bullish on euro and any of the major currencies that are paired with the dollar. But apart from that, guys, I'm gonna close it here. Hopefully this week we get something. We have to wait and see, but as I said, exercising patience. Happy not to take any losing trades, because even when we sat on your hands, you're still in a position. And sometimes it's better not to be in the markets when the markets are playing out like this, and when you've got a lot of moves, when you've got a lot of news coming out. So as always, peace, love, see you in the next page.